now. The Premier League were worried that their players might get a rest. So they arranged a full Premier League midweek programme, which took place Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's a couple of games tonight. There were 6 games last night. Among them, a really interesting game between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. And also Leeds were playing Newcastle, and our guest, John Giles, had a special interest in that game. It's a pleasure to welcome John to the programme. A newly, we say, happy John, who's had the coronavirus vaccine on Monday or Tuesday rather, and is feeling great. John, congratulations on your vaccine. You're feeling like Superman?
Not just yet, Eamon. I've another one to get in on the 5th of January, the second one, and then there's a little while after that. But I'm much relieved, Eamon, obviously, to get it so soon. I didn't expect it.
No.
So it has its advantages being old.
Of course it does, yeah. There aren't many.
You're one of the first on the list. No, I'm relieved about it. I'm happy. I'm delighted to get it, Eamon.
Okay,
Yeah,
and we're relieved you've got it because you're our man on the stand. Now, John, let's start with the good news, if you like. A really interesting match between Liverpool and Spurs at Anfield. With Mourinho's success, they were top of the league on goal difference, and he really does appear to have done a decent job there. I thought it was a fabulous match, a really, really super game. Tell me what you thought, first of all, about Liverpool. There's quite a lot to admire about the performance, isn't there?
Yeah, very, very good, Eamon. They were up against a good team, well organised, difficult to break down. And what was good about them was their patience to keep doing the right things, not panicking in any situation. Now, that sounds very simple, but, there's lots of teams that would be playing at home, like Liverpool, they would be expected to win. And when the opposition was defending so well, getting it high into the box, getting it in quickly, panicking a little bit. And they had a lot of young players, as we know, Liverpool. Yeah. With young Rice Williams in and Curtis Jones.
Yes.
Who really did their stuff as well. But it shows you that's the nature of the club. That's just, no matter who's playing, that's what they're going to do, which is very, very encouraging for Liverpool in the future. Never mind the present. But I thought overall, they deserve to win the match.
Yeah, and a young lad in midfield, Curtis Jones, and of course, Reece Williams, standing centre-half, is a teenager still.
Yeah.
And this was his Premier League debut, a Premier League debut against Harry Kane and Son, to the best striking partnership, arguably, in the Premier League, certainly the best outside of Liverpool. The young lad, Curtis Jones, was particularly impressive, John. Looks very confident, and has an awful lot of natural ability. And in the Premier League, the Champions League game a couple of weeks ago, he scored a winning goal. It was a beautiful goal as well. So he's a real prospect, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he played a few times last year when he brought the young lads in, and he's very, very good. I'd say, we've got Thiago to come back into the team, but definitely as the most gifted player in midfield, and talking about in a real midfield's role, he would at the moment be the best of them by a long way. I mean, the others have their own qualities, like Henderson and the various midfield players that they have, Ronaldo and that. But this kid shows a more like the schemer, the old schemer that we used to have years ago in the middle of the field, with that particular talent to get on the ball. So I think he's the real McCoy, and can only get better with experience. Yeah,
I actually thought last night Ronaldo was immense. Now he's on a free transfer at the end of the season, and Barcelona, Ron Koeman wants to take him to Barcelona, and you can see why. He plays for the Netherlands national team, which Koeman managed until he got the Barcelona job. Really need to get that contract signed, to renew his contract, Liverpool. I think he's a hugely important player for them, John, because of his work rate. But last night there was even more desire to get on the ball and to play. And the other player that I think we were both swooning about last night was Robertson, the left back. He really is a great player, isn't he, John?
I'm always swooning about him. I know you are. Well, you're swooning about all the Liverpool players.
Yeah.
I'm only kidding them. But definitely, I think Robertson is a great lad. Great lad. He attacks well. His attitude is just week in, week out, every minute of every game.
Yeah. And a good defender as well. And also...
Great defender, Eamon.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say, I'd have to be a little bit critical of the other lad, Trent Alexander
Arnold, for the goal even last night, for the Spurs goal.
Eamon, every chance that Spurs had came down that side.
Yes.
He's not a good defender, Eamon. He's a brilliant lad. He's a smashing lad.
Yes.
And he's great going forward. He's a really brilliant going forward.
Yeah.
But unlike Robertson's not as good going forward as Alexander, but he's good enough as a fullback to do more than enough doing that. But defensively, excellent. But Alexander, every chance they had, and the goal that they came from Spurs came down that side.
Yeah.
He's not a good defender, unfortunately. I mean, he's good enough in that Liverpool team because they're so good anyway. But I don't want to be too critical of them.
No, it's a fact.
It's just a fact.
Yeah. And it's also the other glaring sort of weakness with Liverpool is the high line they insist on playing.
Yes.
And it's there's no need to do it. You can drop deep, and they just especially when you're bringing new players into the back four, Fabinho and this lad Rhys Williams. When you're bringing them in, playing a high line is suicidal, isn't it? It's mad.
Well, at any time, Eamon, you know, like even with Van Dijk, there's no need to do it with the players that they have, and luckily enough for them in many ways, they're very seldom defending. You know, they're usually more in attack. But it is a fault that's needless. But that's been highly critical of Liverpool.
Of course,
overall in the match, I mean. They were very good. They kept the patient. It's very, very difficult to do that when you're playing at home and a team is defending as deeply as Spurs did for most of the game, to keep doing the right things, Yeah. And obviously that's in the club from the manager. That's what they want to do, no matter who's playing, bringing the young lads through. Obviously, that's what they have to do, and they did it. They did it extremely well.
And a sublime winner in the last minute corner. I didn't really think that Bobby Firmino could get up that high. But boy, that was a real classic header, wasn't it? Way over the ball.
Well, he is a very good header of the ball.
Yeah.
As we know. Now, he's been playing in a deeper role in recent. Now, he was attacking more last night than he has been in the role that he's been playing, because he's been lying a bit deep. So he hasn't had the opportunity to get into some of the situations to use his heading ability. But he made the most of it last night, and he was getting into the box a lot more last night as well, which was excellent for Liverpool. It was a good performance all round for Liverpool. In Spurs' case, Eamon, again, it's Mourinho defending.
Yeah.
But when he was at his best with the other teams he had, what would be disappointing in a certain way with them last night is that they did nothing in midfield to get a grip of the ball. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was times like last night, defensively excellent, definitely excellent in the way that he does it. And they did make a couple of chances, right enough. But there were certain periods after that they were defending. There's nobody in midfield there to get a grip of it, because the best way to defend is to get a grip of the ball so the opposition doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
But I saw them against Crystal Palace as well, and early on
at
in
the
weekend.
Yeah,
and they went ahead and then sat back and actually let Palace get into the game. Now, what you can do, obviously, you can defend the way they defend extremely well, but there's an element to it as well that you got to get a grip of the ball. It's the best way of defending, and it's the same. That's why Liverpool were so good. They kept at them. So in the end, they could hardly get out of their own box.
Yeah. Now Spurs, Mourinho's done a couple of things. First of all, we have to acknowledge that they hit the post. That was Bergwijn, who's a player and a good player. I think good midfield player that Mourinho's brought in. Harry Kane had a fantastic chance. It was an absolute golden chance. He headed the ball perfectly well. Down, you're always taught as a kid, head it down when you're in the box. But he headed it down, it bounced over the bar, and that was a real opportunity. I think you thought that he didn't see it until too late.
I think it caught him by surprise a bit, coming over to a couple of players in front of him,
And then they have a guy called Celso, who I think is a very good player, left-footed midfield player. He's a creative player. He can pass the ball. He's got a trick. And I think he's a very good player. The other guy they have is Højbjerg. He's a Dane. He's a holding midfield player. He's a digger. He was also, I thought, they stuck at it in midfield, but just in the end, because of the persistence of Henderson, Ronaldo, and Young Jones, Liverpool won the midfield battle. But I thought when I was watching it, now I don't think you agree with me, so you can tell me, I thought these are the two best teams and most competitive teams I've seen in the Premier League this season. Compared to what I watched the previous night, West Bromwich getting a point against Manchester City at the Etihad. So tell me what you didn't like about Spurs.
No, I think Spurs will challenge Liverpool better than anybody else. I think Liverpool are going to win it well in the end. But anyway, that's by the way. But from Spurs' point of view, definitely Mourinho has done a big job since he's got there.
Yes.
Gone there. Like they have a way of playing, and it's the old Mourinho way: defend, and defend well.
Yeah.
But what he's lacking is somebody, a playmaker in the middle of the field, that can get a grip of the ball and not have to defend so much.
Yes.
I mean, it looked inevitable to me last night that Liverpool, I know went near the end, would score because I think they had their chances fairly early on in the second half.
Yeah.
But after that, it was defend. Now, it's very difficult to do that and be successful all the time, because there's always a possibility that Liverpool and any opposition could do what they did, which was score from a header or any. But the best way to defend it is to do what they did, but getting more of the ball to hold it up and get at the opposition and maybe score again.
Yeah,
themselves,
Yeah, I would say if you have Son and Kane, and you can play on the counter-attack, this has been what's working for them. Son and Kane, who's been dropping deep in midfield, although he didn't drop so deep into midfield last night. What I would sort of argue with you, not dispute with you, but I would argue...
And you can argue all you want, Dave. I don't mind.
You don't take any... No, what I would say is this, that Liverpool were so persistently good last night. They pressed high up the field. They won the ball in midfield. Ronaldo was immense in midfield. Henderson was. They looked to me as good a team now as I've seen for a very, very long time, given the strength of the opposition and the fact that they're missing about 4 or 5 really outstanding players. Of course, Virgil van Dijk being the most obvious miss, but Thiago and other people as well. I just thought Liverpool were relentless.
I know. I understand that, they were, but that's why the Spurs didn't get a grip of that at any particular stage.
Yeah.
From the middle of the field, because it all starts from the middle of the field there.
Yeah.
In other words, they were. I think they were prepared to sit back, because I don't think they've got anybody. I mean, they're very, very good defensively in the middle of the field, but they've nobody to say at some. Okay, when we get possession of it, we're going to keep it. We're going to go, and you've always a chance of scoring when you've got Son and Kane up front. But unless they get a supply, they're no good to anybody.
Yeah,
so it's defend.
Well, Harry Winks is the guy. Harry Winks is their kind of playmaker. He's in the England squad, Harry Winks. He's not he's not good enough, John.
No,
he wouldn't have got a kick if he was playing last night. He was on the bench last night.
No, I'm not saying Winks is anybody. They don't have anybody to do it, Eamon.
No.
That's the problem. I'm not saying that Winks is the best they'd have at doing it, but even in a match like that, he's not capable of doing it.
No.
So, Mourinho has definitely done a great job, but if you look at the other teams that he's had in the past, doing similar, setting them up in the same way,
yes,
they have had players, or he has had players, who can get a grip of it, and get at the opposition at times. I definitely saw them at Crystal Palace. They lost a goal in the last, whatever it was in the game. But I mean, they sort of surrendered it, like they were winning. We're going to hold on to it. And it's risky at the best of times. The best way to do it, okay, defend when you have to defend the way they do, but get more possession of the ball to get at the opposition. Yeah. And that's the criticism I would have. But I think definitely since he's gone there, he has put his stamp on it, Mourinho, and they will be very difficult to beat. But I don't think in the overall scheme of things going into the season, they won't. They're probably the nearest to challenge Liverpool, but I don't think they'll get anywhere near them, to be quite honest.
There's a couple of things to be said. The Tottenham record at Liverpool is appalling. In fact, when they go to the north of England, their record at Old Trafford was very, very, very bad as well, and they won there 6-1 this year. And there's this famous saying when players were fretting when Alex Ferguson was managing United, he said, "Come on, lads, it's Spurs." In other words, what are we worried about? But he has done a good job there. There was an exchange with Jurgen Klopp at the end of the game, and apparently what Mourinho said to Klopp was, "The best team lost." So he hasn't lost.
If you turned around the opposite way, Eamon, and Spurs did it on the night, Klopp would have been saying the same thing.
I don't think so. Not in the same way. I mean, no, he wouldn't have gone up to Mourinho and put his face.
No, not quite. But he would have been.
He looked angry at times, Klopp, last night in the first half, particularly with the officials. I think more than his own players.
Well, he was given the fell on the touchline. Obviously, when the VAR decision went against him, like all managers, I mean, except Steve Bruce. VAR is rubbish when it goes against you, and it's great for you when it goes for you. But what it did show was, and VAR was good last night, that he wasn't offside. I thought he was offside straight away. But it showed that he wasn't. But anyway, that's by the way. But the old saying in America, I mean, if you show me a good loser,
I'll show you a
loser.
Okay,
and so Mourinho and Klopp are not. That's what makes them good managers. Well, they're not good losers, Eamon.
No. Now, two of your old clubs in the news this week. Let's talk about Leeds, John. They beat Newcastle 5-2 last night. I watched the game, and we've watched games. I've always thought that Bielsa is a fabulous coach. They work like dogs. But I've thought in a few games I've watched them, they have faded in games. And I put it down to the fact that they've put so much into the first hour, or maybe a little bit longer, that they're knackered. But last night, they scored 3 late goals to beat Newcastle 5-2. It was a remarkable performance, and he's a remarkable coach. Do you still get a buzz looking at Leeds? You said to me on Monday when we were talking about them, you thought they'd finish around halfway up the table, and that's roughly where they are. And I was thinking to myself, I think they might go down, but because they're hopeless at the back. Pardon?
You said it.
I did. Did I say it?
No, you didn't say to go down. I said, well, I think they'll finish about halfway. And you said, well, I think that's a bit too optimistic. I don't fancy them to do that.
Right.
But you just don't know with them, Eamon. What was remarkable about them last night, I think it was for the third goal, maybe the fourth goal, Eamon, and certainly the one of them. They made a break. They'd been under pressure. They made a break for one of the goals, and they had 6.
Yes, I saw it. Yeah, it was amazing.
Players in the penalty area, in the opposition. Six of them. There was only one Newcastle player left. Well, the goalkeeper and one other. So that's how amazing they were. That's what I think you were saying about being tired. I mean, they didn't show any tiredness last night when they were scoring the fourth and fifth goals, which is amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. There's nobody else doing it. So my take on them again, Eamon, hasn't changed. They'll win matches that you don't expect them to win.
Yeah.
And they lose matches you don't expect them to lose. There won't be a consistency, but they'll be okay. I think they'll have enough to finish around mid-table with what they have and the attitude that they have. Okay,
now, John, West Bromwich Albion. Slaven Bilic got the sack yesterday, 1 day, 24 hours after getting a 1-1 draw, or was it a 0-0? It was a 1-1 draw against Manchester.
1-1 draw,
I watched the match actually, and I thought City were hopeless. But he's got them promoted. He's a well-respected coach in the game. notably for not being a whinger and for being a kind of man about things, and they've sacked him. They gave him 20 million to spend in the summer, which is peanuts. They'd be getting 150 million for getting promoted. And then they sold a player that he really wanted to keep, a centre-half, very important player for them. You know that club, you coached there, you were a very successful player, coach there. They're not very nice people, John, in my opinion.
No, well, the people have changed since I was there. Obviously, I mean, they have new owners in, and I was just reading it this morning. There's the chief executive, whoever it is, treated them very, very badly. I mean, really badly. I mean, haven't done a great job for them. Got them up, as you say, gave them very little money, and actually, the player that you're talking about is a centre half. They assured him that they would keep him.
Yes, that's right.
And behind his back, sold him away. So I think Bilic has known that the writing was on the wall, Eamon, for a while now, and he kept at it. I saw him interviewed on the telly last night.
He's a gentleman, isn't he?
He's a great lad, and he did his job. He said, "I'm not." No, he said, "I knew it was coming." He said, "I'm not feeling too badly about it. I knew what was happening. It's the way it is." He said, "I did my best." He did a great job for them. But it shows you. And then, what annoys you in football, annoys me in football, I mean, is that they've got Allardyce coming in. And obviously, they've been talking to Allardyce. They didn't do it just last night.
No. Big Sam.
They've been talking to him for a while. And the thing is with the managers, like what happens in football, a lot of the managers, or the managers as a union, deserve what happened.
Yeah.
Right. They're a union, I mean. In my opinion, people like Allardyce shouldn't be talking to West Brom unless he knows that Bilic has been looked after in a way that he should be looked after.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do indeed.
They're killing each other. They're killing, and the clubs will obviously know that they'll get away with that. Like if they'd have gone to Allardyce, who will be in part of the union, should be able to say, well, look, hang on, have you fixed the manager up before I go in?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
No,
so they're part of the treatment that managers give to get and give to each other.
Yeah, it's called the League Managers Association. In fact, Alex Ferguson, even at the peak of his powers and when he was winning everything, was a very sort of active member of that management group, but it doesn't count. Just to make a point about Big Sam, who I know you're not a fan of.
No.
He has never, he's gone in and done this job before. He's the kind of troubleshooter you'd send for at Bolton, at West Ham, at Sunderland, at Crystal Palace, and at Everton. And he's never been relegated, John. So there you go. And of course,
I understand his problem. I respect him for what he's done. I mean, the big job he did, Eamon, funny enough, was at Bolton. That was the big job.
Yeah.
But if you look at the other clubs that he went, they hated him at West Ham. They hated him at Bolton because not Bolton. Sorry, at West Ham.
I'd say Everton wouldn't have loved him, because they got a tradition.
They couldn't
there.
wait to get him out because of the way in which he played. But that's their preference, Eamon.
Right.
But he didn't cover himself in glory. He was actually the England manager. Don't forget.
He was indeed until he got caught in
some scam,
a sting operation. Yeah,
sting operation. But anyway, I mean, West Brom won't care about anything about that. I mean, if they keep him up. But it's the manner in which it's done, which is dreadful and mean.
Okay.
To managers.
Yeah, we can raise a glass to that. They are horrible people. A lot of people. They were described in the one British paper this morning as brain dead. Now, just one final piece of information. I doubt if you know it, but last night Juventus were playing Atalanta in the Serie A. Yeah. And Ronaldo missed a penalty.
Oh.
And they dropped 2 points. I told you.
Last time he missed a penalty, did anybody say that?
Well, I was just going to make the point. I told you 20 years ago he was useless. So he missed.
Imagine he's still going, Eamon, and still scoring goals.
He's amazing.
How well he's looked after himself and being a real pro.
He's extraordinary, And there's talk of him actually possibly coming back to the Premier League because Juve, I think, it's going pear-shaped there. There's just possibility that Ronaldo would come to Old Trafford and Lionel Messi would go to Manchester City. Wouldn't that be something for next year?
Be brilliant.
Brilliant. Okay, John. Yeah. Look, we're very grateful to you. And now that you have the wonder vaccine, we look forward to talking to you next week. And thank you very much.
I might get over sometime, Eamon, and do it live. Get to Dublin.
Yeah, no, that would be.
That's what I'd like to do.
That would be lovely. Actually, next week we're going to be on our holidays, and I'm sure you will be as well. So, great thanks to John Giles with his super vaccine. You ain't seen nothing yet, guys.
Well, Eamon, if you're on up, happy Christmas to you, the family, and all your listeners.
And the same to you, John.
I hope it's as good next year as it was this year.
Thanks very much, John. Thanks to John, of course.